he's done. Close your eyes for a second.
Good? Yeah, I'm good.
Почуттям глибокої поваги до країн і міжнародних організацій, котрі ви представляєте, сердечно вітаю вас на Прикарпатській землі, одному з найчарівніших куточків нашої України.
Rough and Ready kicked off with an opening ceremony that included a traditional greeting from Ukraine, where bread and salt were passed on to the exercise leaders. This was followed with Ukrainian traditional and modern dancers, a marching band, honor guard, and culminated with the release of 100 doves and 1,000 balloons. Rough and Ready was a dramatic workshop held in the Lviv region of western Ukraine. Regional participants from Moldova, Georgia, and Azerbaijan joined the California National Guard and California civilian emergency responders in response to a simulated earthquake.
Rough and Ready 2004 is about saving lives. We are fortunate to have friends and fellow emergency responders from Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Moldova participating. This idea of neighbors helping neighbors demonstrates our shared values of sovereign nations assisting each other. The most important success you will have is to work as a team, sharing your unique differences and our common desire to help, to protect private property, and to return stability to the people.
Rough and Ready joins emergency medicine personnel from the United States, along with military and civilian counterparts, with their counterparts in Ukraine and the other Guam nations. We're here to do a disaster exercise, but more than that, we're building relationships and learning from each other, not just as part of the exercise, but on a one-to-one basis.
Rough and Ready is an event that focuses on disaster response and coordination with local medical professionals and Ukrainian military. The event, driven by a catastrophic earthquake scenario, combined essential elements of military air and land rescue, emergency medical, aeromedical evacuation, civilian emergency medical, public health, urban search and rescue, collapsed building assistance, disaster support facility, international disaster relief, and transportation logistics coordination. Command and control is exercised in the Civilian Military Operations Center, CMOC.
The CMOC is structured under Incident Command System, or ICS, and so it has all of the standard components of the ICS system. It has a command section, it has a plans section, an operations section, a logistics section, and an admin finance section. In the CMOC, the structure that's been developed is we have an American military, an American civilian, and a Ukrainian counterpart for each of the primary functions within the CMOC. This year, both in the CMOC out in the field, we've learned and reinforced that communication goes far beyond words and language, and that we are continually challenged and stretched to understand cultural differences both on a professional level as well as on a personal level.
The Partnership for Peace Information Management System gives real-time connectivity between the field incident sites and operations. By utilizing this coordinated effort and unity of command, personnel and equipment arriving from neighboring regions or countries are then directed to where help is needed most. The first exercise involved a building collapse and fire. All teams came together, each providing an essential element to the removal and treatment of trapped victims.
We had the DMAT teams from California. We also had the rescue team from California, the firefighters that were involved in the building collapse, rescuing personnel, actually rescuing patients. We had the DMATs doing triage, doing pre-hospital care. All of this was joint with the Ukrainians, Azerbaijan, Moldova, Guam countries, and the American military that were here. So it was sort of jointly with interpreters. We had PJs, we had fire department people, we had the Azerbaijanis repelling, PJs for the 129th parachuted in from the 9-story building. We had them rescuers dropping ropes. Everything was done safely. The jointness was unbelievable.
Throughout the exercise, participants began to merge and adapt to each other's nuances.
Well, in this country, it's superstition that if you carry by the feet, they're either dead or you just curse them to die. So they all carry by the head, where in our country, we carry by the feet due to safety and the way we load into vehicles. So we've changed because we don't want to offend anyone here in this country, so we've been carrying head first here as well.
The second scenario was a train derailment, where a simulated chlorine gas release occurred.
The earthquake actually caused a train to go off the tracks. That train was carrying hazardous material. It was carrying chlorine. The chlorine gas was released in a plume. When that happened, the train that derailed, that had the chlorine gas, actually encountered another train that was going on the opposite track, and that was a passenger train. So because the passenger train had to abruptly stop, many of the passengers were injured. So we had two things going on. We had to bring out a hazmat team to address the issues of the hazardous and poisonous chlorine gas that was released. Plus, they also had to help put that part of the train back on the tracks. The second issue we had to deal with was the injured passengers. And what we did there is we had the medical team remove the passengers and treat them on the field. And they were evacuated as necessary according to the severity of their injuries.
That sort of issue where mass casualties have to be evaluated, treated, and moved. What we expect to happen is an aircraft will come in with approximately 6 litters and 2 ambulatory patients. While we do what's called a hot offload, the rotors will be turning while we offload the patients. We'll bring them to the tent behind me, turn around and evaluate them while we anti-hijack them, make sure they don't have anything that could be harmful or explosive to the aircraft, quickly triage them, get them inside the tent, and establish baseline vitals and make sure that they are actually prepared for flight. We do load them onto the aircraft, get them in there in a safe manner, and allow the aircraft to depart to a fixed facility that can positively treat them for everything that they have.
All the nations and organizations involved worked hand in hand to identify and develop methods to minimize the inherent difficulties of combining the efforts of multiple nations and autonomous agencies. Rapid deployment of emergency responders and equipment into affected areas saves lives, protects property, and returns stability to the local population.
Нові нетрадиційні види небезпек, розвиток та удосконалення партнерських відношень потрібні як ніколи. Тому важливість відпрацювання спільних дій пошуково-рятувальних підрозділів від їхніх інших цивільних і військових підрозділів і формувань у ході проведення широкомасштабної рятувальної операції очевидно. Під час проведення навчань відчувалася особлива атмосфера, притаманна заходу, які об'єднують людей професією і справою. Немає значення, з якого континенту вони прибули, на якій мові розмовляють. Вони виконують найгуманнішу місію за будь-яких обставин прийти якнайскоріше на допомогу потерпілим.
The scenarios were extremely realistic. When the Ukrainians dumped the rail car off of the track, actually dumped a real rail car off the track, we were all amazed. It doesn't get any more realistic than that. When they set fire to a building, they actually set fire to a building. So our firefighters, our urban search and rescue folks had realism, had an absolutely realistic environment in which to work. And it was rewarding seeing a Ukrainian holding one side of the litter and an American civilian holding the other side of the litter. That was the culmination of an awful lot of hard work.